seems to be a lot easier to talk about anxiety because anxiety is much more, well understood.
I'm going to make one up rather than give it, but I think maybe I've killed a child, and I know that you haven't, but I'm not allowed to say that. And I have to go, yeah, maybe. I know she hasn't.
I also want him to have the space to ask questions about OCD without fear of insulting me or, because it is about him as well. We're in a partnership together. We would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri and the Boon Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, which is where this podcast is recorded. And we would like to pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.
Hi, I'm Penny Moodie.
And I'm Angie Green, and we are the hosts of It's Not What You Think,
A podcast about the horrors and hilarities of living with OCD. That sound all right? Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Angie Green and Penny Moodie. And here today we have Hugh Van
Yeah. That'll do.
Hugh Van.
We've had a few rehearsals.
Cuylenburg, the founder of the Resilience Project and co-host of the Imperfects podcast and the beautiful partner and husband of Penny Moodie. And we are speaking to Hugh today about what it's like supporting a loved one with OCD.
I did actually. So the other day on Instagram, which some people will know following this podcast, that I did a letter to parents of neurodivergent kids and mainly positive in the DMs, but someone wrote, I'm so sick of Hugh Van Cuylenburg.
Really?
Yeah. And I got hurt for a second, but then I laughed a lot.
It was very good.
It was pretty good, actually.
I think one of the best I heard was Hugh Van Cycling Bird.
Yes,
on radio.
Claire Bowditch said
was
that.
it?
Yeah, it was like the first time I met Claire, she called me Hugh Van Cycling Bird.
Someone sent you a meme of a bird on a treadmill or something.
That's so good.
Yeah, I've had many variations, but I enjoyed watching you try this thing.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's all about being imperfect.
Yes.
Wrong podcast.
Wrong
mate.
podcast. But Penny, would you like to
take over? Yeah, I will. So we actually put a question out there on Instagram a while ago, Angie and I, when we were trying to work out what we were going to talk about for this first season, and we had so many people come back to us saying we would really love to know more about how to help a loved one with OCD. A lot of partners, living with people with OCD are, I think, tearing their hair out a bit. And
family members.
And it felt like something that really, needs to be discussed and probably isn't discussed enough. How hard, obviously, it is for the person living with OCD, but, how confusing and frustrating it can be for their loved ones. Yep. So that is why Hugh is here today, because he has lived with me for 10 years and he's probably learnt a little bit, I reckon. Do you think?
Oh, sorry. Hugh, I was going to ask, before you met Penny, just really quickly, what did you think OCD was, and then what's your experience now?
It was this is coming from someone who's worked in mental health for a long time, but it was the very stereotypical clean bathroom, clean car.
It'd be lovely to live with that person.
Yeah. The complete opposite of me, basically. Arriving on time and... I think I would say I'd love to see if there was a poll of the entire world's population of what percent actually understood what it was. I think it would be so few people would understand actually what it is. And I was definitely one of those people. But even when we were first together, I still didn't. Yeah, you didn't find out.
I was still undiagnosed, for the first couple of years that we were together. But I think I knew it was OCD. I think I had self-diagnosed by the time we'd met. But I think sometimes when you've self-diagnosed, you don't feel fully confident in that diagnosis, which is fair enough. And so I still found it hard to talk about. I think I probably brought it up with you a couple of months in, maybe.
Well, you brought up anxiety. You told me you had an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And then that was, I feel like I think that was like a week before you had your first panic attack in front of me. So it was very fresh. I just learned about it. I did think before you said something that maybe there's some anxiety there, but you had done nothing that made me think. I mean, I didn't know about OCD, but there was nothing where I was like, oh, what is happening here?
Really obvious behaviours. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff now that I see and like giggle at, and not in a mean way, but just like how long it takes you to go to bed because you're checking the oven.
Yeah.
Lots of times.
Yeah.
I feel like for some reason this year I've been so fine with that, but this year all of a sudden I don't know why.
You. Yeah.
No, it never has, and it doesn't. But this year a couple of times I've said the oven's off, like it is off. Look, no one's used it, and all the dials are pointing up. I don't know why I've been frustrated this year and not the last 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe we should get into that. I think.
Can we also add to that the pool gate as well?
Yeah. Yes. So, trying to get to bed, there's a very ingrained routine that I have to kind of perform to go to bed, to feel safe. Not even for me. So when the kids are around, if they're at a friend, if they're at mum and dad's house or something, I just go to bed.
Yeah,
so it's
she's not overly concerned about me.
You can fend for yourself, but it's so deeply rooted in fear. I think OCD is so deeply rooted in fear. And so I have all these images of what could potentially happen in the night if I don't check things. So it all comes down to me and what I check before we go to bed. And I can't go to sleep if I don't know the pool gate's definitely locked, and the oven is off. So, but I think just kind of...
we could honestly, in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, have Olympic swimmers. You will still check the pool gate just in case they wander in there.
There could be no pool there and she would still go to the gate.
Yeah.
But I guess going back a little bit to when we first met, it seems to be a lot easier to talk about anxiety because anxiety is much more, well understood.
Yeah. And we all experience it on some level.
Exactly. So even if you're not, you don't have an anxiety disorder or generalized anxiety, you know what it's like to experience that. And I think people can very quickly feel empathy for that. So talking about OCD was difficult because I still didn't have a very good understanding of it. And so something that I did was I gave you a book to read called The Man Who Couldn't Stop. Because I felt that was just an easier way of explaining it to you. And I think that kind of helped you in the beginning before I got diagnosed.
Well, it explained everything, yeah.
Yeah.
It was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
So I think for some people who read, I'm not necessarily a voracious reader, but I did read that. But I think if your partner reads, I think that's a great starting point.
Yeah. And just to give this a little bit of structure as well for people listening, we'll just talk a little bit about our experience and your experience in particular. And then what we're going to do is just give, I think 6 main tips for loved ones of people with OCD.
Yeah.
Because this is a really, OCD is a really complicated illness. And if you're, if you have a loved one with OCD and you feel like you're not doing a very good job or you're having a really hard time, it's not your fault. Like the things that it's really, we were talking off air, Angie, about how I just want to say if you're a loved one of someone with OCD and you feel like it's really difficult and maybe you're not doing a very good job with it, it's absolutely not your fault because this is a really hard illness to kind of witness and to support for so many reasons. I think one is that people with OCD generally want to appear okay.
Yeah.
And so we'll keep a lot of this under wraps and will want to be seen to be, coping and functional. And so it won't necessarily be that obvious that they're suffering. And also so much of what is going on in our heads is really difficult to talk about and is so deeply rooted in fear that you can't just say to the person, you know, hey, stop what you're doing, stop this checking, stop this ruminating, whatever it might be with the compulsion, because it is so connected to really deep fear. And so the only way around it is to create a really safe space so that that person can feel like, you know, that they're safe and they can talk about it, which we'll get into more. But I just wanted to mention that what your instincts will tell you to do are generally not what you should be doing. And that's why we're doing this episode. Because it's really hard, and I do really feel for loved ones of people with OCD.
So do I. Yeah, like Penny and I know how hard it is to live with OCD and be consumed by it and try and navigate the world with it. But we're also very aware of how hard it must be for loved ones. And also, you know, you might not be doing the perfect job, but because it is really hard. Your first instinct for a lot of human nature is to fix things and to make sure that the people that you love aren't in pain. And so for a lot of people, that'll be giving reassurance. Of course you didn't do that, or you're not a bad person, or, you know, what have you. But it's like we need to not succumb to our reassurances and our compulsions. And so to actually build skills to not give that person reassurance.
It's so hard.
It is so hard because when it's all well and good to say this or read it in a book, but when you've got a loved one begging you, saying, no, I need to know that I didn't do this, like else I'm going to suffocate. Like I need to, you know, it's very hard to be like, sorry, you know, like it's.
Maybe you did, maybe you didn't.
Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. It's uncertain. And it's like, well, if I did, I'm going to jail. If I didn't, I'm like, I'm going crazy. So we do really appreciate how really difficult it is, for the loved ones out there. And I guess, Hugh, would you be able to share your story on what it's like loving and living with someone with OCD?
Yeah, it's just on that, it's such a strange thing to like Penny will say something like horrific, a thought she's had, like I'm going to make one up rather than give it, but like I think maybe I've killed a child. And I know that you haven't, but I'm not allowed to say that. And I have to go, yeah, maybe. Like, I know she hasn't. Like, but if I say you haven't, that makes it worse. And that is very difficult in my head to go, okay, well, I know 100% she hasn't done that and she'll never do that. So, but I meant to say there's a chance she's done it.
And just for people who might not know much about exposure and response prevention therapy, which is kind of what we're talking about, is it's all kind of based on the knowledge now that giving into your compulsions by, you know, making sure that you are, you know, not a murderer or not, you know, diseased or going to give other people diseases. So giving into those compulsions only makes the OCD worse.
Exacerbates it. Yeah.
And so what ERP does is basically you learn to sit with the real discomfort that arises when you acknowledge there's uncertainty and you don't perform the compulsion, and eventually the anxiety will drop. And that's why this is what's so difficult about OCD and living with someone with OCD, whether that's a child or a husband or wife or whatever, sister, brother, is that we will often go to our loved ones to tell us, no, you didn't do this thing, or yes, you are a good person. But what we know is that we need our loved ones to kind of give us plenty of love and empathy, but not necessarily to play into that reassurance and say, no, you didn't do that thing. No, I'm sure you didn't. It just, because that only fuels it more.
Yeah.
So that's it's a really hard thing that even after 10 years, I feel like we still haven't quite.
No, I feel like I should start this whole little section on my experience of it by saying that I'm not an expert and I actually don't think I'm very good at being in a relationship with someone with OCD. Like I definitely try, but I don't think I'm very good at it. And I feel like that is, and the amount of people who, so after we did our live show last year, we met our audience, like we'd be out the front. And as you guys know, we met them, and so many people would come up to me and say, with a partner or with a loved one, say, I have OCD and Penny's my hero, basically. And the amount of, so that conversation would be happening with the person with OCD telling me about their experience. And I would be having this like telepathic conversation with their loved one, looking at them, and we were saying all types of stuff, like I could just see them just going,
Yeah.
I could honestly see so much pain and like heartache, but not having ever said that, like, because anyone who's with someone with OCD knows what the experience is for that person and knows that it is like you were saying, Ange, before, it's really hard for us as well, but it's not even like it's a thousandth, how do you say that word? It's a thousandth of as hard.
Cuylenburg.
It's not as hard as it is for you guys, nowhere near as hard. And so you don't want to ever really say this is very hard for me as well, because you just feel like it is, but it's nowhere near as hard. So with the look, so for anyone listening to this who loves someone with OCD, like, yeah, it is a hard position to be in, because it's nowhere near as bad, but you are also in a lot of pain with it, because it's just like you wish so much they didn't have it, and you wish there was something you could do. You feel very helpless, and you feel so sad for that person, because you know it's been their whole life, and you picture him as a child trying to work that out. That's the most heartbreaking thing for me, is imagining you as a child trying to understand this. And yeah, I mean, so after the live show, I'd just be looking at, like, there was just this look of just like, oh my God, it's so hard, but we don't say it. And that's what we were saying telepathically to each other.
Yeah.
And there were so many people, like, it was just the look we gave each other, just like, hey, what's happening? Oh.
Sorry.
This is Angie's usual wake-up time.
Oh, yeah.
Actually?
No.
Is that what's happening?
People
No,
with OCD don't sleep, Hugh. Don't be
yeah.
ridiculous.
Penny does. That's not a problem.
Sorry.
No, so there's just a common understanding. And whenever I meet someone who I know is in a similar position to me, we don't even really say anything. We just go, oh, yeah, okay. And we don't need to say anything. We just get the experience. It's so full on.
And I think it's layer upon layer as well, because Penny and I have spoken about this offline as well, in the way that it's like we're already so almost like paralyzed by our own fear and doubts and brain and visceral response and what have you, knowing that it makes no logical sense, but it's our whole worth in that moment or in those moments or episodes. But we also know how hard it is for people around us. So then that adds more guilt and shame to us, but then genuinely having empathy for our partners or loved ones, because we know that they're essentially like, this is so illogical and it kind of makes no sense. So why can't they just stop thinking about it? Like, of course they haven't done this, or of course they're not dangerous, or whatever it might be. And then we feel for the person, and then that adds more kind of discomfort. But it is a really real thing. And I think speaking about your experience, Hugh, something that was helpful for Sam and I was that he actually, who's my husband, we've been together for 12 years, he joined in a session with me because, and Sam won't mind me saying this, I said it in our wedding vows, he's quite robotic. I know that he feels things and what have you, but he's very kind of, like finance, logical, like we couldn't be more different in that way. So explaining to him about my obsessions and doubts and things which were very focused and still are on our particular relationship. So he'd be like, but that didn't happen. And I'd be like, but I know, but if I got CT footage, I would really know. But, it's like,
you
what?
can't trust yourself.
Like, can't trust myself. And even if I got that CT footage of whether I did that thing that night, I would get it and there would be a little glitch and I'd be like, that's when it happened. That's when I did the thing, even if I was just sitting on the couch with him. It's so profoundly. But I was really nervous when I first came out to Sam with OCD because I was like, this just sounds so batshit. But this is what I live with and this is what I've lived with forever. And I also want him to have the space to ask questions about OCD without fear of insulting me or, because it is about him as well. We're in a partnership together. And so I think one of the things that I would also recommend is doing either therapy together or at least your partner or loved one joining in on a session, because Sam asked my psychologist at the time, this was a decade ago, he asked all the questions that he couldn't ask me directly, which is completely fair. And it was a relief for me as well that he could, because I was like, oh, he's getting his fears and doubts out around, does she really experience this, or is this really who she is or thinks she is, and that's really hard, but you've got to have that transparency. And he was able to ask, my psychologist about medication, non-medication, tips, what he can do, and also hear from her what it is like for a person with OCD. And he came out of that with a much better knowledge that this isn't just something that I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I'll get hung up on this. It's like, this is something that almost like paralyzes me within, and I would give anything not to have it. And that was really helpful for him, and I think helpful for people moving forward.
Yeah. I think especially for a robot, like to hear it from someone without the emotion attached to it. I was going to be emotional, but for someone like Sam, I guess hearing it from a psychologist who can say, matter of fact, this is it, rather than you trying to talk through your own experience but also offer some facts up. I think that's be really helpful. I mean, we did that as well. We had that
so once I was
Andrew.
diagnosed with OCD, this was when I was about 31 years old, and we'd been together for maybe 3 years. We went to see my psychologist, and did that session together. How did you find that?
I just felt so much love for you throughout the whole session. I was just so much empathy and so much sadness and so much just like, it was really important for me to like, I listened when you told me and I sort of understood it, but then hearing your psychologist talk about, because it's hard for you or in a situation to say, just so you know, this is how hard my life is. Like, I think people with OCD are very, from my sample size, people I know, very caring and very like deeply empathetic and loving people who don't want to make things about them, and so won't really say this is how hard things are. And to have a psychologist say this is how hard, like she actually talked through your life through me, like the various obsessions that you've had and the compulsions attached to them, which you hadn't done before. And I just felt incredibly proud of you. I think was like, how have you got this far and been this successful when you're dealing with this, like when like 95% of your brain is off, like battling the most outrageous thoughts. I'm like, how have you been so incredibly successful and so lovely to everyone whilst you're dealing with that? That's amazing. So I think I was just really impressed with you. It's like, wow, what a woman. I would highly recommend if people have the resources to do that. I mean, not everyone is able to do that. And so this is sound ridiculous, but I would probably, if you can't do that, I would go to ChatGPT and get ChatGPT. I'm serious.
I feel like you're being paid by ChatGPT at the moment.
Oh, that's amazing. But I would get ChatGPT to explain, to like just say, what is OCD? Can you please explain OCD to my partner in a way that they will, in a matter of fact kind of way. And then that doesn't cost anything.
Or find a reputable book or something,
I'm just thinking realistically for like the barriers and like if you have someone a partner who's like, who may not reluctant, but is not jumping at the idea of going to therapy with you, or you can't afford therapy or doesn't read. I honestly think that would be like, this is what or maybe just take some points from ChatGPT and send it as a text message to your partner and say, this is, I don't know. I just feel like there's many different ways, but you need to, every partner will be different and different things will work. But so they can see a matter of fact.
Yeah. Just with the reassurance seeking and trying not to give that. Like, I can just think of a couple of examples, but I know after we had our third child, I fell quite deeply into a OCD relapse where I just kept worrying that he would have some kind of really serious kind of intellectual disability or something. And I kept being so obsessed with like developmental milestones. And I'd always say to you like, oh, is he like, he's smiling? Is he smiling? He hasn't smiled yet. He's meant to smile now, and like would Google and would be like, okay, so what do you think? Have you seen him smile or laugh? And like, I eventually was told by Andrea, our psychologist, that I need to actually, because I was doing it with mum and dad as well, and eventually I had to message them both. This was part of the ERP treatment, and say, if I come to you with a question about Patrick and his development, don't answer me.
Yeah.
Like, just say like, look, he maybe not. Like, he might be meeting them, he might not be, I'm not sure. And I think I kind of told you to do the same. But like, how did you find that? Like,
honestly, I found it a bit sad because I found it sad because I was so wanting to just sort of like enjoy this like new person in our lives, and I could see you were not. But your brain was very preoccupied with is he okay? And I, from a non-OCD brain, from ADHD brain, just like, yeah, it'll be fine. Like, that's right, we'll deal with it later if he's not. But like, I just wanted to enjoy the way he was at that time, and I could tell you were battling this thing of like, oh, I'm so in love with him, but what's wrong? Is there something wrong?
yeah,
And I found it very hard.
yeah,
But then I didn't want to say anything to you because I knew how bad you would feel about it and how upsetting it would be for you. So that's like kind of the look thing that you give to other people, because you're like, this is one of the things that you would go through, but you can never really talk about, I think.
yeah,
But that's not to say I do it the right way, because I don't. Like, I think the other day I got it so wrong with you when you told me about him, because I always I want to know more. Like, I want you to tell me everything. Like,
yeah,
I want to know every obsession, every compulsion as it's happening, because then I feel really included, and I feel like I can understand if you're not talking to me much, or if you're being quite distant, or if you're hard to reach for whatever reason. I know why.
yeah,
But you don't. That's not your go. That's not your default to tell me stuff. And you did a couple of weekends ago.
yeah.
And you told me about it, and I went, okay, right, this is big.
Right.
This is big. Don't make a big deal about it. Just say cool, and just sort of move on. And then I just didn't really. And then that day I hurt my hamstring. I talked about my hamstring the whole afternoon. Just like, God, I can't believe I've done my hammy again. This is so annoying. It's only a grade 1 test. So I should be 2 weeks. I should be okay if the store gift. And that's all I talked about. And then you exploded later in the day. You're like, fucking hell! I've told you the most vulnerable thing I could have told you, and all you're talking about is your hamstring. And as you started to say that, I was like, oh, I've got this so wrong. But I was purely from a place of like, I overanalyzed. Just like,
Don't give reassurance.
Don't give reassurance. Let's not even.
You're not allowed to.
Let's just not even make it. Let's make it feel like that was the easiest thing to say in the entire world.
Yeah.
But I talked about my hamstring instead.
That's why it's so hard.
Yeah.
So Sam and I, we kind of have this invisible, well, no, we do have this kind of rule. And again, it's not perfect and it doesn't always work. But one of the tips maybe that might be helpful for some people is when I know, I can feel when an episode is coming on and it's daunting and scary, and if I don't catch it quickly by doing my homework, I'm back in straight away from 0 to 100 very quickly. And again, a lot of my compulsions are invisible, so rumination, feeling things viscerally, false memories, it's horrific.
False memories must be just the worst.
It's, yeah, I think we've got to do a whole segment.
Would you feel comfortable telling me an example of a false memory?
Oh, absolutely. Well, like, I remember.
She's like, where do I
No,
start?
I'm like, today or where? No,
Do you mean while we've been recording? Or?
But yeah, totally. I've like pashed all of you. Well, yeah. But it'll be recorded. But he'll take that bit out. Don't worry. So, but I haven't. You know, great. So no. But Hugh, yeah,
we might have patched. We might have.
Yeah,
but
maybe not.
Yes. Penny, we haven't.
Yeah.
Angie and I have not patched what's been happening.
Yes.
And we might have. Who knows?
It's fine. I've got Andrew
We'll
next
never
week.
know.
We can speak about this. Okay, next week. But yeah, an example, Hugh, which is really uncomfortable to say out loud because a lot of OCD people, if they think they say things out loud, they're really nervous that the people around them might be like,
Oh, did they?
but did they
Yeah.
or do
Yes.
they want to?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you know, so
Yeah.
an example of a false memory for me, and I get nervous speaking about false memories because then I'm scared then when real things happen that are important, people won't take my recollection of it accurately because they're like, oh, she has false memories. So that's another added fucking joy. But yeah, there was a good, and it still sometimes happens, but there was a good like year and a half where I really tried to not make close contact with family members, like when greeting them hello. So most people, you know, they hug their loved ones and give them a kiss on the cheek or what have you. That would be happening in real life. But when my OCD was really bad, it was like, so that real thing has happened. Like I've kissed my cousin Lou on the cheek. And then straight away, falseness will come to it and be like, actually, I think you got the corner of her mouth. Actually, I think you wanted to get the corner of her mouth. Actually, I think you touched tongues. Actually, I think, and it then full blows goes into this. I've kissed my cousin like as an adult at a family function, and then evidence based. You're like, it's at Christmas time. I reckon if I patch my cousin in front, you know, you try and justify it because, but what it feels like and what I've tried to explain, well, how I visualize it to Andrea is it's like a psychologist. I'm like, I know it's like there's this tiny cartoon radio in the corner of my head that's reality and logic, and it's there. But when the OCD episode is happening, it's like I have a full band movie across my eyes. It's on my face.
Yeah.
And all I can see is the worst fear happening. And I know that little bit of logic's there and it's like, well, that wouldn't make sense. But it's like, but all my brain is showing me is this. And I have this visceral response that I have done this and I feel guilty and I feel sick. So I must be sick. I must be this. I must be that. And it happens so quickly, especially because like Penny, I've had OCD. Like my first memories were obsessions and compulsions. So that would be an example
It's a great description of it.
a false memory that makes you feel physically sick. And then what do? Do I call up Lou and go, hey Lou, Lou is my actual Lou's a real person. Hi Lou. Lou's a real person. Like imagine me calling her up on Boxing Day, being like, speaking of reassurance, going, hey Lou, just wondering, did I try and kiss you yesterday, or did I try and rape you? Did I put my hands up your top? She would be like, I beg your pardon? And she'd be like, Angie, what are you and I'll be like, no, but please, like I just need, I need to know. But again, of course I know that I didn't do this, but everything's too loud and too visual. Yeah. So something I will do also, like as a takeaway with Sam or a loved one, is like, because I do forget that there's only like a few people in my life who really, really know how insidious my OCD can be. So even though like I speak to people and I'm like, yeah, I have OCD and, you know, this is what I experience, I forget that only very little people know to how detrimental and debilitating it can be. And so there are a few people in my life, Sam is one of them and Brent, my brother, is another one, where I will say to them, and we've kind of got a rule, I'll be like, I'm going through an episode. Please don't give me reassurance. I'm going to ask for it, But all I need in this moment is I need to feel loved. I might need an extra hug. I might need you to tell me that I'm safe and just be a little bit extra more, like extra compassionate, because that's what I need. But please try and don't give in to my compulsions. But again, it's not perfect. There will be times where Brent, my brother, will be like, Angie, you know that didn't happen. But most of the time I call Brent and he's like, Angie, you know what's happening now. And I'll be like, yeah. But no, but I think you've missed a part of the story because I left this part out when I told you, you know, the real story. But then this also happened. So like maybe that factors into the real story. Like you didn't know that last time. And he's like, yep. And I'm like, you know, like but you need to starve the compulsion and desensitize yourself from not being okay with uncertainty, even if you know what's real or not, like just sitting in it, which is incredibly hard for the person that loves you.
Yeah. So you don't want to give reassurance, but you want to give like an abundance of love.
Yes.
I think.
And definitely. And for the person to also know that like, because it is in our brains and so many people can be like, oh, that's a weird thought, whatever, and like get on with it. For our loved ones to really, really know that this is so out of our control and the last thing that we want in our lives.
Yeah.
To remember that and try and be compassionate. But again, it is a really hard thing to navigate.
Yeah. So maybe to make it really kind of clear for people to have some takeaways, we can go through, you know, I mean, and there are more than 6, but we've got kind of maybe 6 main tips for loved ones.
Yeah, so we came up a few weeks ago, we came up with the plan of doing 2 tips each, a total of 6, and then I just sort of forgot and I wrote down 6 last night.
So we're doing 12.
So we're doing 12. But it might overlap.
Yeah.
So I might I thought about it properly last night, and there are just some really practical things I think people should do. Well, no, really practical things that have really worked for me, and they might work for you is what I should say. I don't know if they work it depends on the individuals. But even as you were just saying, Angela, like the variance with different people is so great. Like I agree that in those episodes, the person needs to know they're loved, but like, and hug, but I wouldn't go and hug you, for example, because I know you wouldn't like that.
Yeah. So it's like, it doesn't have to be like a physical love, like a physical touch. It could be like, it's kind of like love and validation, isn't it? So like, I know you're a good person and I love you very much. And I know this must be really, really hard for you right now.
Yeah. Okay. Just checking what I should do. 10 years in. Okay. Let's do tips. How do we want to just take it in turns to say some tips?
Yeah. I think one of the things which we've kind of touched on is how valuable it is for the loved one to learn a bit about it.
Yeah. So I had that down as my first thing.
Yeah.
And I excuse the language, the choice of words but I wrote become obsessive with it. So like really learn everything you can about it. Like absolutely. It's the more you learn about it, the more you empathize with the person.
Yeah.
So whatever way you go down rabbit holes, whether it's like on Instagram or whether it's ChatGPT or whether it's reading books or YouTube stuff, make sure it's credible. But then absolutely, like I remember a couple of months of I devoured everything I could on OCD.
Yeah.
And the more I learned about it, the more I just felt like a connection and love for you. So I could not believe you were dealing with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So learn about it.
Yeah.
Would be my first thing.
That's a good first tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to go on?
Next 5?
Next 5. Patience is powerful. Like patience is really powerful. I think the more you know about it, that becomes an obvious thing, but you need to be so patient with that person because there'll be times where to me, patience is the way to show love. We were mentioning love before. Being patient is probably the most, for me anyway. So I know for Penny, when it's bad, you become very, you're not there. Like you're there, but you're not there. Like you're
a shell.
Yeah. Like and and I'll know often before you tell me, because when I ask if you're okay, you get very defensive very quickly. That's your first thing of like, and then I go, oh, I think something's going on here. And then maybe a few hours later you might mention it. So, and for me, because it can be frustrating when I'm trying to say something, or we're trying to do something.
Trying to show me like 10 memes.
Yeah, I'm trying to show you some memes.
My hammy.
Yeah. I'm trying to show you videos of myself running. Yeah, really important stuff. Or just the kids and stuff. And then I realise that you're not there.
Offline,
I'm like, oh, Penny's actually not there. Like, she's off fighting a battle that I don't understand, and she is like fighting for her life over there. So just like be patient. Like, this could take a few hours.
Yeah.
Patience is a massive one. And like, actually think about what that word means. It's like, it sounds a bit token to say, just be patient, but actually think about what patience means right now. Could be going to yourself, we may not have a proper conversation for another day here or a couple of days, and I love this person, so I need to be patient with that and not get frustrated at that, because it is frustrating.
Yeah.
And you will be frustrated, but you just like, I don't know what you do with that frustration, but in that moment, the most powerful thing to do is be patient. So patience is massive.
Yeah.
My second one.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I might go in with the third one.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
I was saying before.
Don't show memes. Don't show me memes.
Just limit them to like 5 a day is enough. So as I was saying before, like the compulsions are always attached to a fear, and often this fear comes out of love. Like I was saying, I won't go to bed until I've done all this stuff because I love my kids so much. The thought of them perishing in a house fire or drowning in the pool is just too much for me to.
Oh, your husband. Yeah.
My husband.
So much love for them. Those people.
It's like, it's too much for me to handle. I can't go to sleep. I feel like a negligent parent. So it all comes from love, and which then turns into fear. And the only way you're ever going to, like, it's so instinctual to say to your partner or your kid or whatever, like, you need to stop this now. You've checked it enough, or you've thought about it enough. It needs to stop now. That's just never going to work, because you were talking about the feelings that come up with your obsessions, Ange, and we know that logic can't change your feelings. It just can't. Like, it's never going to work. As much as you feel like you have to say that, that's never going to work. And so the only way you're ever going to get anywhere as a partner or a loved one is to create this safe environment, which is what you were talking about before, Hugh, with patience and understanding. And once you create that environment, your loved one will be much more likely to open up to you, or even just to say, I'm going through this right now.
Yeah.
So that's only going to happen when you feel like you're not going to get judgment thrown back in your face. So trying to limit the judgment where you can, it's really hard. And if, you'll stuff up. Yeah.
So can I just give a practical way of doing that? I have started, and you might like roll your eyes at this, but this year I've started doing pretty much every morning since the start of the year, basically doing like a breath work. So some people do meditation, but there's this one, I'm giving away my secrets to you here, but there's this one called loving kindness breath work that I do. It's an app called The Othership, OTHERSHIP. And it gets you to think about someone that you want to think in a loving and kind way. And I think about you.
I love Penny. I do.
No, but like it gets.
Trying to convince yourself.
I'd love if you walked past the study and heard me saying that one morning just to myself. No, but I do that. And it's unbelievable. So it's like 10 to 15 minutes, and it is so powerful in setting you up to be patient, like I mentioned before, but also to have a very, very kind interpretation of everything that you do. So like when you are checking the oven at night, I've just closed the back door and I've checked the pool fence, and then you'll watch me do it, then you'll go and do it. Like, because I've done that breath work in the morning, and that's like, I'm very primed to think in a loving way about you. And like, she is so caring. Like, she's doing this because she cares about her kids and me.
Yeah.
And so that's been extremely helpful to me. So if you've never done breathwork before, it's such an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like it's much easier than saying just start meditation.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a very practical thing to do, and it's do the loving kindness one and think about your partner with OCD.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And my second tip was going to be expect relapses. So the more I learn about OCD and the more I experience it, I think the more I know this isn't going away. This is something I manage day to day, week to week, whatever. And there are periods where I feel really good and it barely touches me, and then there are weeks where it's all consuming. And so I think, even if the person you love, seems to be managing really well, or maybe they've had a good couple of weeks or a couple of months or even a couple of years where it seems like they haven't been affected, I would just expect things to change at some point because it often does. And when you have this feeling like, oh, they're through it, they're past it, and then they fall into this deep OCD hole, it can feel extremely frustrating and hopeless. But if you kind of just expect that at some point that will probably happen, I think it might just make it maybe a little bit easier when it does happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And not be like, what's wrong? Like something's it's like, oh, this is
part of it.
This is how we roll. And it's not necessarily that something's happened, but it's how our brains work. And so if you looked at that like a physical thing, you can visually see it.
Like a weak hamstring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to happen again.
It'll happen again.
It's going to happen again if you keep running, and we've got to keep going in life.
Doesn't matter how many leg curls you do.
Yeah. No, definitely, Pen. You and I speak a lot about relapsing. Yeah. And if people like you and I who have the resources, and we've got the most incredible psychologist ever, and we've got our little community, if people like us with all the help and love in the world are relapsing, I imagine a lot of other people are as well. So definitely expect that. I would. Did you do two?
Yeah.
I'm kind of just going over old ground, but I would definitely say get your partner or loved one into a session, and
if possible,
and allow them to be really vulnerable as well, and ask them to ask questions that you might not like hearing, but it's they're on their journey as well. I would also, potentially, because especially if you're in a relationship with someone, it can be really good to speak to someone alone as well. Personally, just dealing with the frustrations and how hard it is to at times to live with someone with OCD. And the second one would definitely be, in whatever capacity or way it looks like, try and this might happen with your psychologist or just with you and your loved one, what works with you. Try and come up with either safe words or codes or boundaries. So when an episode is very clearly occurring or you are in it, you can voice to your loved one, this is happening. I need to know that you love me and you're not allowed to do this. Or please try and not give in to when I ask X, Y, or Z. So having the boundaries with the people that you love is, I think, really crucial to healing.
Yeah, and it's a plan. Like, you're planning ahead, aren't you?
Yeah.
So that you're not just like scrambling when it happens. You're like, okay, at least we know there's a couple of things we can do.
Yeah. I reckon this is something I don't think we've done, but I feel like just when I was thinking about this last night, I was thinking what we should do is have like just a set routine of this is what we do, is our playbook of what we do when you have an episode coming on.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we just do. And I some of the times that I feel like you speak about it in the best way is when you,
if this episode has caused any distress,
fully understanding what I'm
someone,
not trying to make light of it.
On
but when you have a sense of humour, like when you laugh about it, I feel like it's like you have a bit more power over it.
Yeah.
And so what I was thinking was last night, maybe our routine could be like, when you have one come on, you have to draw it for me. And I have to guess what it is. Be especially great if you're not a good drawer.
A messed up picture.
Yeah, but it would be. We would laugh. We would find your pictures would be funny. Like, I don't know what an example would be, but like, if it was you hurting a child, you drawing a picture of you hurting a child, and then I guess it like Pictionary, and we laugh at your drawing, and then we go, okay, I know what's happening. Thank you for that. And
then your children can take it to school and say, Daddy drew this.
Yeah, Daddy, not Mummy.
Yeah.
Daddy gets dragged off to child protection. I really
The man in
like
the van
that
comes
idea.
along.
I really do like that.
Yeah, but I think
okay.
that might we
Yeah.
should do that from now on.
Yeah.
You can draw a picture.
Humour is so powerful when it comes to OCD. It really is. It's just like when you're in the depths of it, it can be hard to laugh at that, but definitely worth a shot.
There's not all the time. 99% of the time, I feel heartbroken when you share it with me, but 1%, I'm like, don't laugh. Do not laugh. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
But isn't it amazing after, Sam and I have been together for 12 years and he still barely gets it, even after all of the information and all the help and what have you. And he said one of his co-workers knew that we were starting this podcast and I go, oh, what did you tell them? And he goes, I just said, that you get crippling thoughts. And I went, yeah, what else? And he goes, oh, that's about it. And I was like, it's fair. And I was like, that's
enough.
That's fair. And he goes, and I can tell when they're happening. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's fair. But it's just
if you haven't lived it, it's very difficult to completely understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that majority of your listeners will be people who are either one of us, like they have it or they love someone with it. And I think if there's any way you can do whatever work you can do to really understand that it will be frustrating for both parties at times, but you love each other and you just, if you can put yourself, gee, you're a popular person.
Really not. I think they're scammers.
Is that your phone ringing? Is it like
I don't know how
it's a trumpet of Patriots? Yeah,
that's never I don't know what's going on, but it is my phone.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that's right.
I think,
yeah, it's also could be the wrap up time because we're out of time.
We need to
Sorry,
but I think the more you can just think, I think the more you put yourself in another person's shoes, which we could probably do better at. I think, but we try. But I just sitting here now thinking about it, the more you can really just go, this person, like Penny right now, is having the worst possible thought you could actually have, and she can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the poor person. And then them going, I'm probably not overly present at the moment. That might be hard for them.
Yeah.
If you both think that at the same time, it can only lead to a stronger relationship, I think. So this thing, empathy, I could do a lecture, but I won't.
Gratitude, empathy, mindfulness.
But it's I think the more you put yourself in that person's shoes, probably the better you are.
Yeah. And we'll just note all the 6 things in the show notes as well, just so people can look back at it.
I've bought a coffee for the next client downstairs, so you can get going.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I think we're good.
You are?
Yeah, I think we're
sorry.
good. No, that's all right. That's all right. But that's very nice of you.
I reckon that goes into podcasting. That's good.
Can you
a nice way of saying all right. Hugh Van Cuylenburg, thank you very much.
Thank you so
it's a
much.
pleasure. I was nearly Hugh Van Cuylenburg a couple of times, but I got through. I got through. No, I think what you guys are doing is incredible. It's the best name, by the way. It's such a good name. Because it's not what you think. That's who thought of it?
Well done, Angie.
Angie, very good name. But also, I just think, the people who are listening to this right now who have OCD, I just think this is such a powerful way for them to spend their time, and I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Penny.
Thank you.